In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can use the practice of semen retention to increase your magnetism so you can start taking steps to master your spirituality. And by spirituality, I just mean your awareness of who you are and not who you've been taught to believe that you are. Once you develop this awareness, you can then begin to use the law of attraction to manifest the type of reality you want to create for yourself. Let's get into it. But who am I anyways? Why should you listen to me? Well, my name's Chazz Paisley, and I practice nofap and then semen retention for around 3 years straight. During the period of time I was practicing, I was able to transform myself from a lost, depressed, and low self-esteem individual to a purpose-driven, happy, and confident individual. The main intention I had for myself during this time was to transform my life. And looking back, what I've realized is that I was able to transform myself so quickly, not just because of me putting in the work and actively trying to transform my life, but because I was using semen retention. Now, for most people, semen retention and nofap might be the same thing, but in reality, they're two different things, although they're similar. When people do nofap, it's usually because they want to break their porn addiction, while also rewiring their brain so they can start having healthy relationships again. And with semen retention, it's similar to this. You see, you should think of semen retention as a hardcore version of nofap, because on semen retention, not only are you using it to break your porn addiction and to increase the quality of relationships in your life, but you're also doing it to consciously retain your energy. Because while you're practicing nofap and while you're practicing semen retention, you will have a ton of energy. I mean, if you imagine yourself as a battery, when you're on semen retention, you are above 100%. And because of this, you get so many benefits of being above 100% in terms of your energy levels. And I'm talking about benefits like increased energy, increased confidence. Anxiety and depression pretty much get eliminated. You start to be able to focus on things a lot easier. You become a lot sharper. The best way I could sum it up is to imagine who you are right now while you're not on semen retention or nofap. Sometimes you have some energy, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you feel tired, sometimes you don't. Well, imagine all those symptoms not happening anymore. And I'm not saying you'll never be tired, I'm not saying you'll never be depressed or anything like that, but I am saying that you always have a ton of energy. And because of it, it almost forces you to do things, to go out and do things, and to accomplish things with your life. Another major benefit you're going to experience when you're on semen retention and nofap is your ability to attract things. And I'm sure you've seen videos online where it says it makes it easier to attract women. In my experience, yes, it did. I actually have a video on this that you can click on screen now where I go into my experience on 3 years of nofap. But just to sum it all up, when you're practicing semen retention, you're going to experience much more energy than you're used to, and this energy is going to attract things to you. This is why, while you're practicing semen retention, it's going to allow you to master your spirituality, and it's also going to allow you to master your ability to manifest, because your ability to magnetize to you is increased. Another big difference between nofap and semen retention is that while people are practicing semen retention, most people are completely fine with finishing if it's with a partner, hence the name nofap. But on semen retention, you actually avoid having sex entirely. You avoid finishing entirely so as to retain as much of your seed as possible and get the maximum benefit you can get from having increased energy. This is why I call it the more hardcore version of it, because most people simply just aren't willing to do this. And while I was practicing semen retention for that period of time, I didn't even make the decision to abstain from sex or anything like that. It was just that I was so focused on who I was, so focused on my own life, that I feel like I kind of blocked out everything. I basically went radio silent in my life and just started focusing on what I needed to do to improve myself. If you're thinking of practicing this, I really don't think it's an issue for you to occasionally finish with a partner, but what you should be doing is trying to retain your seed as much as possible if you're going to be practicing semen retention. So now that you know what exactly semen retention is and the differences between it and nofap, I'm going to explain to you exactly what I did to transform my life in just 3 years, so you can do it too. Now, the first thing I did, and to be honest, this wasn't even a conscious decision. I just wanted to transform my life so much that this just naturally happened. And for you who's watching this video, if you've already watched this far, you've probably already made this conscious decision. But the first thing you want to do is you want to make the decision that you want to transform your life. I mean, most men can't even do nofap, so there's no way they're even going to get to semen retention, which usually involves retaining your seed consciously and not just unconsciously. Now, if you're able to do this first step, this next step is going to take you the longest, because this next step involves really figuring out who you want to be, figuring out what you want to do, figuring out the type of person you want to embody yourself as. This next step is really about creating your video game character. I mean, up to this point, who you've become has probably just been a string of luck. It's probably just been a mix of your environment and your programming and your genetics. But going forward, while you're practicing semen retention, what you're going to want to do is start to ask yourself questions and be like, who do I want to be? Look at the people you look up to. Look up at your favorite actors, your favorite celebrities, your favorite video game characters, your favorite icons. What about them makes you want to look up to them, makes you resonate with them? You need to figure all of that out and take their qualities, start to be like, what would I look like if I embody these qualities in myself? When you have those answers, then you want to start applying it into your life. If I was this person, how would I act? What would I do? How would I show up? How would people treat me? All these questions are very important and they take some time, but that's okay, because once you figure out exactly who you want to be, how you want to act, and what you want to show up as in your own life, you've created your video game character. And once you've created your video game character and you know this is who you want to be in actuality from your soul, then you can move on to the next step. And this next step involves creating a vision for your life. Now, if you did the previous step correctly, you figured out how your life would look like in different scenarios, how you'd show up in different scenarios. But now it's time to put all those puzzle pieces together to form a cohesive whole. And in doing this, you can start to create visions of how you'd want to be. I practiced NoFap for 3 years, and that was close to 10 years ago now. And the visions I created for my life back then is exactly how I am now. And it's only going further and further in the direction of what I created. The person who I wanted to be back then is now the person I am today. And that's exactly how you're going to be when you do this process. But you want to create that vision in your mind. You want to be able to get emotional about that vision so you can become invested. And as you become more invested in it, it becomes like second nature. I really remember creating this video game character that I pretty much am today. I remember wanting to be able to be confident, wanting to be able to walk in a room and not feel anxiety, wanting to be able to talk to everybody around me and be able to connect with them, wanting to be able to be a calming presence for people. And that is exactly how I am today. It's almost like who I was before feels like a dream when I try and remember it. And I say all this not to brag or anything. I say all this because I want you who's watching this video to know you can do the exact same thing. If you don't feel like you are worthy, if you don't feel like you can love yourself, if you feel like you have issues ranging from physical health, mental health, anything, you can overcome all of that just by doing this exercise and by using semen retention as a way to help you get there quicker. Because all that extra boundless energy you're going to have on semen retention is going to help motivate you and is going to help push you forward. But because you're going to have more energy, which, as I said earlier, is going to help you attract more things to you, things are going to happen a lot quicker and you're going to manifest things a lot quicker. And if you have any brief questions, put them in the comments below and I'll try and answer them. Or if you're really serious and you want to guarantee that you'll master your spirituality and manifestation through the use of semen retention, or you just want someone to help you out throughout your journey, sign up for one-on-one coaching with me. Also, make sure to download my free ebook that I made to specifically help you navigate and understand the 10 secret stages of success you'll 100% be going through on the way to achieving your goals and creating your dream life. You can find the links to both of these in the description or the pinned comment down below. So, now that you've laid the groundwork, now that you've done the mental aspect of creating who you want to be, the next part is the physical. And the physical involves taking action. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, this part can be hard. But if you really didn't skip any steps, if you really took the time to figure out who you want to become, and you've become invested in it and gotten emotional about it, then most of the work is done. Because when you've realized that you could become this person and you've become invested in it, it's almost like if you stop, you'll never be able to forgive yourself because you can see how awesome you actually are. So the next part is really about optimizing your life. And what do I mean by optimizing your life? If you haven't realized it by now, your life is really just a sum of what you do on the daily. And what you do on the daily is created by your habits and your routines. I'm not going to get too deep into it in this video. I have a video exactly on this, but to sum it up, your habits are things that you do on autopilot. It can be as small as how you speak, your tone of voice. When you get out of bed, what sock you put on first. Is it your right foot or your left foot? Or it can be something as big as how you view yourself, how confident you feel. So the point I'm trying to get here to is that we as humans are habitual creatures. And when we do things, it forms kind of like this energetic motion, and it gets hard to stop doing things. So if you smoke every day at 3 p.m., then when it gets around to 3 p.m., your body is going to want to smoke because you built the habit. What you need to do is become aware of this habit and understand that if in the image you created, you're not smoking, that you need to quit this habit. And this is a negative habit for you. So you need to go throughout your whole day, and you need to figure out what habits are serving you, and you need to get rid of the habits that are not serving you, and build more of the habits that are serving you. By doing this, and by building tons and tons of good habits, you will automatically start to create a better and better and better life without even thinking, because it's automatic. Now, at the same time as building better habits and getting rid of negative habits, you also want to be incorporating positive affirmations in your life that are encouraging you to continue to move forward, and affirmations that are in alignment with who you want to be. If your future self is confident and you're currently not confident, you want to make affirmations that say, I am confident. I don't want to get too deep into the affirmations, but there's many guides online that you can do this. You should also start surrounding yourself with the type of energy you want in your life. This can be anything. This involves music, people, the places you normally hang around, etc. By doing this, you're not only optimizing your schedule, but you're getting rid of any negative things in your life that are keeping you where you currently are. You should also learn to start appreciating the things around you. In this process, it's very easy to become future oriented. It's very easy for the days to just pass by because you're so focused on who you want to become that you're missing out on who you are now. So you want to be able to appreciate who you are now, no matter how bad you think it is, because you're going to be able to look back on these days in the future and you might miss it a bit because these are the times that made you who you were. So continue to do what you're doing, continue to work on yourself, but don't forget to just chill out sometimes and relax and really look at your progress and look at everything you've done and be proud. By doing all this, you should start seeing noticeable changes that are going to be compounding over time very noticeably. And you'll really know everything is working when you start to look back on months and years before and you start to feel like they're a dream and you wonder, were you ever really that person in the first place? And just to give you guys a little backstory on how this process worked for me, when I first started, I had no intention of doing semen retention. I just wanted to get off my porn addiction. And when I got off it, I just kept doing it because it felt so good. Over time, through practicing NoFap, I started to get into personal development. And through personal development, I started to realize that I wanted to be better. And slowly over the years, I found more methods that helped me become better in who I am as an individual. The methods I've talked to you about in this video are the best methods, in my opinion, that I've found and that I believe will help you get the best bang for your buck and save you so much time. Although I was only on semen retention for 3 years, the methods I talked about, if you in theory used all these methods in the same 3-year period, you would probably be able to transform yourself much quicker than me, because I found these methods by myself and I didn't have a guide to do this. So it took me much longer to really transform myself and really feel like I've become the person that I wanted to be. In fact, I would say it took me around 6 to 7 years. It's only recently that I started feeling like I am the person that I want to be. But those initial 3 years on semen retention really set the foundations for me. And if you incorporate everything you've learned in this video, not only will you set the foundations, but you'll build the whole mansion. Now, along your semen retention journey, you're going to come across a lot of distractions that will likely try to get you to stray from your goals. One of the biggest distractions will obviously be corn. I mean, let's face it guys, it's everywhere in our society and it's pretty hard to avoid. That's why your next step is to watch this video, where I talk about the 5 secrets for quitting corn for good.